Senators rolling back Obama-era climate regulations with his latest executive orders. The latest move calls on the EPA to initiate a review of the Clean Power Plan, which sought to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The order also scraps regulations that make it tougher to mine coal on federal lands, which the president touted as a campaign promise cap. Take a listen.
My administration is putting an end to the war on coal. Going to have clean coal, really clean coal. With today's executive action, I am taking historic steps to lift the restrictions on American energy, to reverse government intrusion, and to cancel job-killing regulations.
Senator, where do you want to begin with that?
Right. Mika, that's a 6-hour discussion. It is, I don't know what adjective to use. You have a president who tells the world that in his view, after intensive study, he has concluded, unlike the rest of the scientific community, that climate change is a hoax emanating from China. And what he has done in appointing the people that he has appointed is a danger, a horrific danger, not only to our generation, but to our children and our grandchildren. Hey, Mr. President, listen to the scientists. Climate change is real. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and around the world. And if we don't transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, coal, oil, gas, into energy efficiency and sustainable energy, I worry very much about the planet the future generations will inherit. And by the way, despite Trump's rhetoric there, the corporate world understands that the future is sustainable energy. Most of the new investments are going into solar, which is exploding all over our country and all over the world, and into wind. What this guy is doing is really an international embarrassment and endangering the future of our country. And I will, along with many of my colleagues, do everything that we can to move this country in a very, very different direction than Trump is proposing.
Once again, guys, you have two people, Trump, Bernie Sanders, saying what I'm saying, climate change is a hoax, which it is. I agree with that. And then you got Bernie Sanders on the pretending to be the right and saying that it's not a hoax, which is also correct. But none of them mention geoengineering, weather warfare, solar radiation management, Operation Popeye going back to the 60s, creating rain, spraying chemicals, solar radiation management, blocking out the sun, turning the sun into a UV, UVA, UVB toxic, not even talking about how you're microwaving the planet with microwave radiation on cell towers and X-rad Gwyn towers. And that's causing the heating of the planet. We don't even have winters anymore because of the cell towers. We have ice nucleated storms, man-made storms. Today is 12/10/2017. We just had this man-made storm sweep across Texas, Louisiana, and it just came out of the middle of Mississippi. So if Trump's saying, hey, get rid of your climate-making machines, well, they just moved to Mexico and make climate. And that thing goes all the way up the East Coast, this man-made storm, just massive. It's like a snow skiing mountain making snow, but on a billion trillion times more chemicals because they have an unlimited budget. So once again, there's no salvation in our current political system. There's no exposure of the reality of geoengineering, solar radiation management, and all the patents that they have on, weather modification. And that they've literally screwed up our planet with industry, coal. I agree. Fracking, ionizing clouds, with NEXRAD, and, using weather as a weapon. No mention of that they really messed it up. Now, like I said, they want you to give your money to a climate change agenda, right? And you pay for their mistake instead of them paying for it. What a bunch of cowards. What a bunch of criminals. What a bunch of liars. What a bunch of ravenous wolves in sheep's clothing. They create the problem, and then they come in like they're the solution. It's just like the medical industry. They create the problem, and we have the cure. Right? Now, everybody's sick because of all the poisonous food, poisonous air, vaccines, solar radiation management, climate change agenda. Just everybody's chronically ill, and now they're going to put the entire nation on their health care. In other words, they created the problem. Now they're going to pretend like they're the solution. So, once again, guys, this is why there's people that are trying to kill me, target me, covertly harass me, electronically torture me every night. It's one of the reasons why I've tried to raise money for my Fundly account, because they've actually falsely accused me of crimes. They put people in my rental properties, and they destroy my property. They cost me thousands of dollars, because one of the things they want to do is financially cripple you, because when you're financially crippled, you have no means of fighting the dark side. For example, I've been doing this for a very long time, exposing the truth in climate change and geoengineering, the real climate change, right? The geoengineering. And I've never asked for a dime from anybody. They won't allow me to syndicate my videos because they classified me falsely as a terrorist. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the guys that go out in the forest and say, stop cutting down those trees. They call them what? What do they call them? Terrorists? Because they're trying to save the trees? When somebody goes out and tries to stop whales from being murdered, they're terrorists too? But the whale murderers are not terrorists. The people who cut down the trees are not terrorists. The BP oil spill, those are not the terrorists. We're the terrorists because we're exposing that they put dispersants and they destroyed the natural bacteria in the Gulf of Mexico. And they eugenicsed literally all the fish. You can't even scuba dive in the Gulf of Mexico. I grew up scuba diving in the Gulf. I heard when you go in, well, actually, I know for a fact, when you go in the water and there's any type of wetsuit or anything like that, it just breaks it apart. It breaks it down. Chemicals. Massive chemicals in the most abundant body of fish on Earth, the Gulf of Mexico, which the Gulf Stream that goes all the way around the world just travels right through. So if they pollute the Gulf, they pollute the whole planet eventually. And this is why we're having algae plumes all over the place, green algae, just dead oceans. The coral reefs are dying, right? But they want you to pay for what they deliberately did. This is the problem. This is why I'm not a big fan of climate change. I think what needs to happen is everybody that was involved in polluting and destroying and the planet needs to be, their assets need to be sieged and given back to us so that we, as a unified community, can do what we need to do in our states, right? And take it down. I don't care if you have, listen, we're in a serious problem. I don't care if you got to go back to horse and buggy, guys. All I know is that, let's say I go to heaven, right? Let's just make believe I go to heaven, right? And then my daughter goes to heaven, right? And she says, Dad, time I was 50 years old, there was no drinking water, there was no air to breathe, there was no, there was no food, couldn't grow anything. Dad, what did you do to save the Mother Earth? Remember, obey the Father and the Mother is the Son and the Earth, not your biological parents, like the churches teach you. That's such a crap. So if my biological parents go out and murder people, I should obey them and go murder people too? I mean, come on, God is not that stupid. The Mother and the Father is the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. That's exactly what it is. Obey Mother Earth. Don't ever destroy her. Don't ever do anything to insult or to kill the animals or to kill anything. Thou shalt not kill, period. So this is what needs to happen. Every one of these people that are filthy rich, we need to siege their assets. You can start on the sheriff's level. Give the money back to the states, and we go back to natural energy. Even if you got to park your car, we can go to electric cars. There's ways we can fix this now if we just unify and come together.